Black Ops 7 has prestige tokens for each time you prestige your career level and once again with your weapon level for the first time since Black Ops 4. Each time you come across that option to prestige your level or your weapon level, you'll be met with a prestige unlock token on the other side of that hurdle and decision to start everything all over again in that leveling journey. But what should you be spending those tokens on? Today I wanted to run down with you some of the best options that can be universally the most beneficial across your gameplay experiences. Drop your thoughts, drop a like, and make sure to subscribe for more Black Ops 7 content, among other FPS coverage here on the channel. We're juggling multiple game experiences right now, so I'd love to have you in the community if any of that interests you. But for now, let's get into it. So firstly, let's start out with the level specific things here. When you think about prestige, a lot of the times within Call of Duty, you think of your actual level prestige. So once you end up getting to level 55, you have that option to prestige once again, or in some cases, even if you're not there, some players may have an unlock token from things like the Vault Edition. So these items can be used from level 1 onwards here. Whatever you end up choosing to unlock, that is going to be permanently unlocked no matter how many times from here until Prestige Master you decide to prestige, whether it be once, twice, 3 times, all the way through all 10 going into Prestige Master, where you don't have to unlock anything ever again. You'll end up having over the course of that anywhere from 1 to, again, potentially 11 with a Vault Edition tokens to work with throughout your career leveling journey. So what are some things that are pretty solid here? For me, a top contender every single year where it's applicable is Perk Greed. This in Black Ops 7 comes at level 33, which grants you another perk, allowing for upwards of 4 perks to work with in your creator class. But Perk Greed is a bit different this time. It's changed in this game where the 4th perk does not connect to your main core specialty, so positioning of perks really does matter with Black Ops 7. If you want a specific setup of perks 1 to 3 for that specialty, maybe one category isn't the best for another perk set. So Perk Greed allows you to end up taking that in addition to, while still getting that maybe main core specialty and that bonus that comes along with it. Like one we'll come back to in just a few recommendations is Perk 3. If you want the score bonuses with the Strategist specialty, Perk 3 requires you to take a lesser perk than something like Dexterity or Bankroll or something like that, that by a lot of people's comparisons, it will be something that is not necessarily the best perk in that classification. But Perk Greed allows me to take that lesser perk, but also make up for that with another Perk 3 if I want to, or literally any other perk you want to include if there's any sort of conflict elsewhere, like Ghost and Ninja. With Perk Greed, you can take both those despite both of them being in tier 1. So Perk Greed is always up there as one that I would highly recommend. Next, Lightweight is a must-have in my opinion. So with this being a level 45 unlock, it takes quite a while to end up getting there. So if you have a permanent unlock token, obviously having that increased movement speed and the ability to jump, slide, and dive further, having faster recovery from sliding and diving, all incredible things here. Plus, adding to your Enforcer specialty if you decide to go that route as well, you get some nice bonuses out of that. So Lightweight is kind of a crutch perk in my opinion in this game, and one that is phenomenal to run. So to have that as early as possible, I'd say that's definitely one you should weigh the options on if you have a token or 2 to burn. Stim Shots as your tactical is one that is a possible one to overlook, though depending on how dependent you are on these, it's something you might want to consider, or you might want to just kind of push through those first couple of levels here as you unlock it organically through your first couple of prestiges so you don't waste an unlock token on it, because the Stim Shots, super beneficial, but they unlock at level 21. So it's not nearly as far in your progression journey as some of the other things we'll talk about, but with this being something that's so integral to some people's gameplay, being able to get that health back immediately and start that regen is very beneficial in gunfights, allowing you to challenge maybe more things than otherwise not. So that's one that I'd recommend, but is maybe teetering on the edge there because it is, again, earlier in the leveling, but still a little bit out there. Specialist is one a lot of people may pick up this year. It's a wild card at level 53, which replaces score streaks with 3 perks at 200, 400, and 600 score. And then if you end up going on a 1200 score streak, you'll end up having all remaining eligible perks granted to you at that time, so you have an air quote specialist bonus from years prior where that effect was active, making you a super soldier of sorts and being something very beneficial. That's one thing that for those people that love specialist in the past Call of Duty games, that might be something you want to consider using an unlock token on. Ninja is one that also is up there for very beneficial because this comes along at level 53 and allows you to move more quietly, which for stealth players is one of those key integral perks for years now at this point, where it's kind of make or break for an entire gameplay archetype. So to have this so late into the leveling journey, level 53 might be worth considering. Another, if you're looking for higher level things that could work in your favor, is Guardian, a level 50 unlock that allows for faster healing while capturing and holding objectives, and you can revive down teammates faster, which isn't something you normally deal with too much in 6v6, but this one I'd recommend if you're looking for a score streak build, but otherwise it'll feel like it's out of left field that doesn't make a whole ton of sense. Perk greed does not affect your combat specialty again in Black Ops 7, meaning that if you want the across-the-board strategist bonus, which grants more score for objectives and the likes, you'll need 3 strategist perks in your first 3 perk slots, not as an additional slot due to the perk greed option. Otherwise, again, you only get that minor hybrid specialty. But Guardian can be beneficial in that case, where if you're an objective player, healing on the objective is definitely nice, or staying on that point, while also gaining some additional score benefits from that with a specialty bonus, and getting those objective captures, the score for kills on those objectives and everything. It's just going to help you to kind of churn a little bit more out in terms of those specialties. But otherwise, you can skip past this one. Active Camo is also one that is a decent unlock here at this. A level 51 unlock is a field upgrade, which allows you to become nearly invisible for a short duration. Attacking will end the effect. And this is going to be a nuisance for sure. Up front, the first day or two here of this, you're probably going to see minimal encounters of this, but I expect that's probably going to change at some time in the near future as this becomes a regular occurrence, as more people end up getting higher in the leveling and they unlock that more. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, that's also one to consider. The MPC-25 as a weapon, level 55, your final unlock in the progression journey, is one I'd recommend, not necessarily because it's the best, because it's not definitively the best, which kind of hurts me as an MSMC lover from Black Ops 2, but more so suggesting this so that if you're on the camo grind, you can knock some of this stuff out on your camo challenges earlier rather than later. With level 55 unlocks, if you're simply wrapping through prestiges, like getting to the max level and then going into it, trying to knock those out as soon as possible, you're more than likely going to get maybe an hour at a time or something to progress through the gun that is at that level to work towards ranking it up and doing camos once hitting 55 and then going into prestige before it relocks once again. So you're not really going to make any substantial progress rather than just chipping away at it every couple of days when you end up getting back to that point. The same can really be said about any higher tier weapon or higher level weapon, like the M34 Nova line at level 49. The Carbon 57 at level 46, the XR3 Ion at level 43. To note, the Peacekeeper at level 52 and Flatline Melee at level 49, those are also ones to consider for that same reasoning, but if you have the Vault Edition, because of the blueprints included with those, they're permanently unlocked from the start. No unlock token necessary, so like, it's an added little benefit here, I guess, that is a lesser talked about detail of blueprints, but for some people who already have an unlock token like that, it's already an additional one that's granted alongside that Vault Edition. But that's your level specific stuff, like your career rank. Let's talk a little about some weapon specific things, because you do end up getting a permanent unlock token from Weapon Prestige as well to use on weapon attachments as they relock weapons as you go along. This is maybe more subjective and dependent upon your builds here for what you'd like to kit out, whether it be for mobility, whether it be for recoil control, whether it be for stealth. That's entirely up to you, but you do have to recognize that each prestige, 1 and 2, you end up getting a prestige token to use to make that progression a little bit easier. Muzzles, you end up having the ability to cut down on some recoil. Same with grips here. For most players, the horizontal recoil is probably the better mitigation that you want to look for in terms of things to unlock, because it's probably easier to control that vertical bounce rather than the left and right in a gunfight. Like, just assuming a lot of players will find it a lot easier to simply pull down on your thumbstick or pull your mouse a little bit rather than trying to mitigate that left and right sway as well. Monolithic suppressors will also be something I'd imagine for when Warzone comes around, something you might want to consider in that permanent unlock if you're going through the weapon progression track again, because that will give you bullet velocity and damage range, plus keep you off the radar. And talking about damage range, barrels that promote bullet velocity or damage range is one of those things that's subjective, but for me personally speaking, in 6v6 engagements, I'm a bit more preferential to that bullet velocity. I'd rather my shots get there faster, being as close to hit scan as possible, as opposed to, say, damage range, because I'm not playing on maps that are too big that you're going to see that damage drop off be all that worthwhile, as opposed to, say, in Warzone, that could be something that's a bit more beneficial, that damage range and then bullet velocity, trying to get both of those there. Extended mags are also something that's nice to consider. For multiplayer, you can usually get away with the first tier of extended mag, not outwards of like the second tier and 60 rounds, depending on the weapon, just because at that point, it's introducing more cons than really necessary. Adding more ammo without that, though, is not as much a downside. Like offering a 45 round magazine for a 30 round weapon at base is definitely nice. You'll end up getting another kill or two off that before you have to reload, and then you can go from there. And then rear grips, this comes down to if you want a bit more control versus speed. Same thing honestly can probably be said for stocks as well, depending on which ones there are. Like for me personally, I was doing a lot of the prestiging initially on the M15 Mod 0 just to see how everything worked out in terms of initial testing, pacing, and all that kind of stuff. That the first one that I did was the Hex Cut grip, because that is a higher unlock in regards to the weapon progression, but it will grant you all dive to fire, slide to fire, ADS, and jumping ADS speed bonuses, as opposed to other grips not giving you nearly as much there in that sort of relation. So you get a bit more benefit at a higher unlock, but because I had that token, I can get it immediately on a level 1 build. So that said, that's some things that I would recommend to consider when using your unlock tokens for either your career or your weapon level as you go through the prestige grind for each of those. Hopefully it helps you out in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully it's a bit insightful and can maybe help you make a more educated or beneficial decision to your grind here within the prestige journeys. But let me know your thoughts. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe for more Black Ops 7 and other FPS content. I'd love to have you in the community, but for now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care, and peace.